Why do we have that rectangle drawn on the side? At the first window that we've covered up, that, my friends, is going to be the vent for the refrigerator. So the vent for the refrigerator actually has two vents. It has one on the lower portion, and then we're gonna have to put a vent up there underneath that solar panel. The idea behind it is that fresh air is going to get pulled in to the lower vent. Behind the refrigerator, it's going to heat up, and as it heats up, that hot air is going to rise, and that hot air is going to escape out the top. And when it does that, it's going to pull more air into the lower vent. That's going to help the refrigerator with its efficiency in keeping cool and not using, hopefully, too much energy. So we have a lot of work to make this look good and work efficiently. So this is just the first step. Let me show you what this lower vent looks like. And this is gonna be the first time that I'm actually cutting into the rub rail. So I'm a little leery about it. And I wanna go back and make sure that that is a square, it is a squared square. So I'm looking at it, but we see we're on a little bit of angle. So we're gonna have to double check on that. But let me show you what this refrigerator vent looks like. One sec. All right, I went back and I remeasured, and I used my square. It's sitting over there, that big metal square right there. And we came back, took some measurements. The lines are square, so it's good, but as you can see on the left-hand side there, I had one that outside line wasn't quite right. So we measured twice before we cut, made another line. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the permanent marker off, but that's okay. It'll probably be under the cover anyways. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to take a little bit more of the rub rail off so that it can sit flush. Well, you just listened to me have an epiphany. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's take some more measurements. We'll get some more lines on there and see if anything else jogs on our memory. All right, so again, we have that lip around the edge of that lower vent, the part that we actually mount. And yes, I know we have those things. I'll take that into consideration here in a minute. What we have is on the rub rail there, we have to cut a little bit more than 1/4 inch. And again, I want to get it here. I'm going to leave this flat. I want to see how it mounts against this flat portion of the rub rail. And if it's not much gap, then we'll leave it. If it is in that gap, then we'll go ahead and we'll cut off that little bit of extra there on the bottom. I'd like to prevent that. And the reason I want that is I want the cover to actually mount on top of the rub rail, so that when water comes down, it comes down the cover and it doesn't sit. There's nothing for it to get behind the rub rail. It's good. The rub rail, the cover is going to sit on top of the rub rail, and the water's just going to keep on going down. So that's what I'd like to happen. We'll see if that's what actually happens. And the other thing we're going to have to do is along the edges where we cut here, we have to find something to fill this in with. So I don't want water getting in and sitting there. So I want that to be fairly watertight there along the edge. All right, more work to do. I've got my grinder, angle grind, well, yeah, I call it a grinder, whatever. Gloves, safety glasses, I don't feel like losing an eye. Sight's already getting bad. I'm gonna flip you around, we're gonna make a cut. Let's get on it. I'm betting that the foam is why this hasn't fallen off, that it's stuck to the foam. Nope. Maybe. I wonder if these are in the ribs. No, the river's right here. Okay. Yeah, you hear that? That's foam. That's just all foam. Alright, I know I'm in your way there. Give me a minute. There we go. You hear it breaking that foam bond? Aha! Foam. You may remember this. I like that. I like that a lot. It's nice and tight. What we still need to do is come over here, cut off all this little bit of extra, because again, that's going to get in the way of the lip of that cover. It's going to sit on top of that. So let's work on that next. The trick with this is going to be only cutting the rub rail and not the skin of the bus. That's all I'm going to say. So here's something I didn't know. This rub rail, it's part of the skin of the bus. It's not an extra piece like this guy is, at least for right here. How they got me is that this right here looks like it's an extra piece, right? Because it comes out. Oh no, you know, that's probably the bus still, and they just put those caps on it. But I thought that this was built like that. I was wrong. This little raised bit still has to come off, but I'm gonna have to go in there and do something to extend the skin of the bus down. Maybe we'll take this and flatten it and then shove it beneath the skin here and the foam, maybe. Anyway, at any rate, that's got to come off. I don't have a choice if I want to put the vent there, and the vent has to be there if I'm going to have a refrigerator. All right, back to it. Yeah. So it's ugly. It's ugly on these bottom corners, but it fits. It's ugly. So we're going to have to secure these tabs that I've made from the rounded into the bus itself, and then make it a little prettier. Now most of it, as you can see, is going to be covered by that lip around this. That's cool. We also got to fill in, again, I want to fill in these gaps. Really want to fill in this white gap because that's an entrance into the bus itself. We don't want that. So we want more than just foam in those gaps. In addition to the lip around the outside edge here, it also has places for screws. 7 in total. So what that tells me is that I should build out the inside of this, the wood frame, so I have something to connect this to. Didn't know that. Now I do. The hole itself wouldn't have changed because the hole needs to be big enough to allow this inside edge in. But now that I have the hole, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to get in there, put a wood frame in, so that I can secure this into it. Where did you go? That's the bus life way. That's why we call the channel Chasing Tail, because it's always like we're chasing our own tail. So that's what it looks like. Again, it's ugly down on these corners. Ugly, because it caught me by surprise. Again, I thought this rub rail, the white rub rail, say that 5 times fast, was actually an attachment. I did not think that it was the actual skin of the bus. Oh, well, there you are. So it is. You can tell they used green primer. Okay, so that's got to be added to the step, securing these tabs. Here's the inside. All right, so we've got the board down below it, and I think that board's going to be exactly the right height. I think we got real lucky there. We do have a board above it, so what I'm going to end up doing is cutting away a little bit more foam, putting 2 vertical boards, and then a horizontal board on the bottom and another horizontal board on top. So it's going to be completely covered in wood. We'll apply Kills it. Kills is like this primer paint that we use, especially in Florida. It's very mildew resistant. It's great in high humidity areas like Florida and kitchen, bathroom, things of that nature. So again, to cut this foam out, we're using this Japanese saw. It's just awesome. And we're also using a chisel to kind of scrape it out. That'll get the big stuff. This really lets me get in there in the fine-tuned stuff and get down to the bare metal without destroying the neighboring foam. Again, we want to keep as much insulation in the bus as we can. Wide enough for the board to fit. Now I have to merge this board with the top one. I think we used, and we did. So this inner board is a 1x2. The outer board is a 1x3. So there's a little bit of a lip here. If I can, I want to cut a notch in this and utilize that lip to help secure the board. But we've got foam stuck up in that hole. We might not do that. We might. Nope. Don't think we're gonna get the notches in. All right. Let's measure. Happens to look up right there. All right. All right. Let's see if this is the video we're gonna keep, or if Kathy, you're gonna remove this. We'll see here in a second. Well, this might be a keeper. So I'm gonna go back outside. You'll see me on the outside. I gotta measure where that top piece of wood's gonna be. Hole's even big enough for my fat head. All right, so there it is. It's in. So you can tell we have this little gap underneath here. So we're gonna have to fill that in. And I have not forgotten about these two tabs. Still not 100% sure what we're gonna do with that. It never ends.
So what we ended up doing, somehow the footage got lost, so you just get me explaining it. The two tabs that were left over and kind of floppy, where we had to straighten out part of the rub rail, we just self-tapping screwed that into the metal that was left at the bottom, and then the frame went in. We butyl taped the living daylights out of it behind it to make sure everything got covered. Good morning.
Good morning.
Back at Logan. Sorry, sun's in my...
I know, the sun shining off my head is probably blinding you right now. Please adjust your brightness for optimal viewing pleasure.
I'm working on screens today.
I'm trying to see if I can finish up the cabinet, for lack of a better way, or space that the refrigerator is going to sit in. There's some specific measurements and things that have to happen in the back of the refrigerator for it to work at optimal or peak proficiency.
Including, hold on, a vent.
Correct. So air is going to come in this vent, and reading the manual in the Dolmatic book, it wants to go in, go straight up, and then out a vent near the top. And you don't want any disruptions to the airflow, is the best way to describe it. I'm trying to shorten like 3 pages of what they wrote about. So you want that air to be able to pass through the back of the refrigerator, which is going to heat up, and that's how it cools the fridge, is by heating up the back coils. And you want that hot air to be able to rise and exit the bus. So in addition to having an unobstructed vent, you want to insulate the holy heck out of everything else, because you don't want that heat, at least for us in Florida, entering into the bus. So a couple different things to take into consideration. Definitely read the manual or the book that comes if you install one of these refrigerators with the Dolmatic. It has some good information that kind of explains
how the fridge works.
How that fridge works and what you need to do to properly install it. That's all I got for now.
All right, off we go.